God bless you one and all, and welcome back to the Bishop's Corner. And of course, my name is Bishop Dr. Herbert N. Scott, the Chief Prelate of the Liberty Hall Cathedral of Praise, right here in the heart of Brooklyn. And certainly tonight we want to shout out to the visionary, for this great thing that he has started, the Bishop's Corner. And that is none other than the man of God himself, known as Dr. Phil. Philip Reed, certainly, young man, you are doing a tremendous job. God bless you richly. Well, tonight it's time for us to introduce the lovely panel that we have. We are so blessed to have with us. It's been said, ladies before gentlemen, Yasmin Akbar. Can we make her feel welcome? Certainly, woman of God, it's a pleasure to have you once again on the Bishop's Corner. We just love that smile. Continue, please, to smile. We want to thank God at this time for the second time, I believe it is, Guillermo Bermudex is back with us. Can we make him feel welcome? Sir, it's a pleasure to have you and the knowledge that you bring to this forum. Thank you very much for weighing in. We are thanking the Lord at this time for Leroy Lance that's with us. Can we make him feel welcome? Certainly, young man, once again, it's a pleasure to have you on the Bishop's Corner. And certainly we are thanking God for Rashawn Thrower that's with us. Can we also make him feel welcome? Certainly, Rashawn, it's a pleasure to have you on the Bishop's Corner. Thank you very much for weighing in. Last but not least, the man that's known as Little Brother. I just love that gentleman. We are talking about the apostle himself, Lucien Roas. Can we make my little brother feel comfortable tonight? Certainly, it's a pleasure to have you all on the Bishop's Corner. Well, tonight we are dealing with a wonderful subject, a subject that I know that all of you are familiar with, because all of you that's on tonight, I do know that you are investors and that you have homes, you have businesses, and so forth. Okay, tonight we are dealing with the subject matter, upgrading your investment through real estate. Upgrading your investment through real estate. Now, personally, I don't think we'll even get to question number 2. I'm hoping that we can do, but with so much knowledge and so forth. And my objective is to make sure that we squeeze all that knowledge out of you 5 people tonight. Well, question number 1, part 1, integrating real estate into your investment portfolio. And the questions are really split up into different segments. So what I think we should do is to deal with each segment at a time. Part 1, segment number 1. How can individuals integrate real estate investments into their existing stock portfolio? How can individuals integrate real estate investments into their existing stock portfolio? And let's put that first of all to my friend Guillermo, that will tell us how we can do these things. Sir, it's in your hands.
Thank you. Thank you for having me once again. Good night, everybody. Yes, real estate, I think it's a fundamental part that should be a part of every person's investment portfolio. The easiest way to start investing in real estate is to purchase your own home if you don't already have it. If you're paying rent, that's usually a temporary thing while you get settled in your job. But once you're established, it's a good idea to look for a home to raise your family. And for a lot of people, investing in a home and taking out a 30-year mortgage and paying it off over 30 years over their lifetime becomes their major real estate investment. And it becomes like a savings account, because as the mortgage is paid off, more more percentage of the home becomes part of the equity. And usually with time, appreciation in value occurs in real estate. And with betterments and improvements to the house, it's usually true that over 30 years, the house appreciates in value, several times, like 3 or 4 times the original cost. So that's one way of investing in real estate in your portfolio. Instead of paying rent, you're paying a mortgage, and you're acquiring the property on a monthly basis.
Let me just add this part of the question to it also for you, sir. You seem to have a tremendous amount of knowledge on the subject. What benefits can this diversification offer to an individual?
Well, certainly, if you own your home, you're not only having an investment, but you have a place to raise your family. And you're going to have that place, even if you're just paying rent, but in owning your home, you have the ability of having long-term appreciation in value and a savings account by paying the mortgage in it.
Okay, sounds good indeed. Okay, let's put that same question to Rashawn. The question is, how can individuals integrate real estate investments into their existing stock portfolio, and what benefits can this diversification offer? Rashawn.
Okay, thank you, Bishop Herbert. So real estate investing has been the #1 fuel for creating millionaires in the history of this country. And by investing in real estate, as Mr. Guillermo just said, in buying your own personal home, that's a great way to create at the going-to term now is generational wealth for yourself and your loved ones. But there are several other ways to invest in real estate. There are, we spoke about this briefly, what are called REITs, real estate investment trusts, which are stocks which you can buy, which invest in real estate. And besides that, you can meet someone who invests in real estate, and you can learn to invest alongside them in a passive way or in an active way. So, it'd be great if you could align yourself with someone who actively invests in real estate, either in your market or in another market, and you can learn to invest alongside them and get a return alongside them. So that's a great way that you can invest in real estate and also invest in the stock market.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now we are blessed to have 4 handsome men, but thank God we have a beautiful young lady that's with us. Yes, let me put that same question to you, young lady.
Yes, so I'm with R&J Capital Group, so I call myself the money lady when you need to get some money. So yes, real estate is always a wonderful way to invest in for that generational wealth, passing it down. But I really love how my clients use it. They'll buy that house, it'll appreciate, they'll take some money out, and they'll go buy another property and rent and repeat. So, it really is a safe way to go and a stable way to go. And I love it myself. I'm a testament of that. I just bought my dream house doing the same thing. I bought a 2-family house long time ago. It appreciated, took the money out, put it on the other house. So yeah, I preach it and I live it as well. And it's definitely a good way to go, a good, safe way to go.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you much. Okay, let's put that same question now to Leroy. How say you, young man?
Excuse me. Thanks for having me. I guess everyone talks about buying your own home, and I don't want to say that a lot of younger people can't buy their homes, because anybody can buckle down and save up, get a home. It might not be ideal, it might not be the ideal you want, whatever. But so you have a lot of people that renting has become more of an option for a lot of people. They have no interest in buying their own home. But what they can do is Rashawn mentioned the REITs. Apostle Lucian was talking about it earlier. In the pre-show, he was talking about the REITs, and the different things that you can get there that would give you the exposure. And one of the things I was thinking, and this was something I had thought about doing, everyone's talking about houses, but I live in the country, so there's plenty of undeveloped land around me. So it's, if you can buy undeveloped land cheap. So if you buy undeveloped land and then something moves in, well, now you've got a plot of undeveloped land, and somebody can you can either develop it yourself, put a house on it, do whatever, sell it that way, or you just have undeveloped land and you can do whatever you want with it. I've thought about buying some Airbnbs and then, or the undeveloped land, and even turning it into hunting property and renting it out to people so that they could hunt on it. But I think the only problem with that is I just don't much want to be a landlord. It just seems like a lot of work to me. But like they said, it's the number one way of becoming a millionaire. Real estate. I don't know any millionaires I've ever met that doesn't have some sort of real estate.
So true indeed. Okay, thank you very much, Leroy. Okay, for weighing in at this time. Let's hear from my little brother, the Apostle Lucien Roas. My friend, how say you?
Well, certainly it's an honor to be on tonight, and it's a very loaded question. In terms of diversifying your portfolio, in terms of real estate within the stock market. Now, I'm a stock market guy. That's where my passion is. I'm not too much into real estate, even though I bought a few properties early on in my life, and I certainly saw it appreciate. I was telling people, I talk about the parable of the three servants that one buried their talent, and by burying their talent in Matthew 25, they lose purchasing power because of inflation and cost of living. Because if I take $1,000 in 1960 and put it under my mattress, what I could have buy with that in 1960, I cannot buy it in 2024. So real estate help you to keep up with inflation in terms of purchasing power.
Oh yeah.
Like people who bought a house in East Flatbush in 1960, they paid $45,000. Today they can get 800,000. That's an amazing 10x, 20x, or whatever.
Yes, sir.
But in terms of the stock market in real estate, I don't mean to preach to the choir here, but is it okay if I would quote the scripture? I mean, this is the Bishop Corner now, all right? Ecclesiastes chapter 11, a wise man wrote this book. And I'll just give you 2 verses. I'm not going to preach you to death. It says in chapter 11, verses 1 and 2, send your grain across the seas, and in time, profit will flow back to you. That's trading. And as I speak, Bishop, on empowerment, sometimes people think I'm talking too much in terms of the marketplace. But if you really understand the good book, it's really take a holistic approach. And it talks about finance, investments. It's right in this book here. And here what verses 2 says, but divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risks might lie ahead. And we talk about multiple streams of income. For example, if there are 7 streams flowing into this one river, and one stream is clogged, the other 6 will be able to carry it.
Oh yeah.
That's why you cannot put all your eggs in one basket. If you have 100 eggs in one basket and the basket full, you might lose everything. But if you have 10 eggs in 10 baskets, you are diversified. If one basket full, you still got 90%. So when you talk about real estate in terms of the stock market, there's something called REITs. There are 11 sectors in the stock market: energy, healthcare, consumer staple, real estate, industrial material, and so forth. But there's one called REIT, R-E-I-T, Real Estate Investment Trust.
Yes.
And what happened, for example, I mightn't be able to buy a commercial property. Yeah, I buy a house and it appreciates, thank God for that. But most of these big companies like Macy's, Home Depot, Walgreens, they don't own the building. They leased it. And there are companies that are called REIT. They lease these buildings to them. So I have REIT. I have O Realty. It's what we call an aristocrat dividend paying stock. It means they pay 25 years consistently. They've raised it every year. And REIT or Reality give about 6% annually. You can't even get it on a CD in a bank. So it's a powerful way of investing and diversifying your portfolio. Because, for example, if everybody say, I'm going with Tesla, Tesla is struggling right now, as great a company as it is. Apple, if you had bought Apple a year ago, Apple is very flat. The second largest cap in the world after Microsoft, $1 trillion company. So wisdom says diversify your portfolio. And real estate, it's a very dynamic way of doing so. I cannot buy Macy's and Green Acres Mall. But because I have REIT, I have a tiny piece of that property and I get a dividend every year. So it's a real unique way of diversifying your portfolio. Let me say one thing. I know I spoke a lot. Let me say one thing and I'll be quiet. I love the stock market, and somebody said it's the best way of becoming a millionaire, but I think the stock market, I don't know which one will have the edge. For example, Bishop Scott, I'm going to say this. My house that I'm living in right here and right now, I bought this house in 2007. And right now it's up 80%. It hasn't doubled, but it's up 80%. That same money, if I had taken that same money, and this is facts, and put it in the SPY, which is the Standard & Poor's S&P ETF, exchange traded funds. If I put that same money for this house in the SPY, while I have 80% appreciation in this house, it would have tripled with the SPY. In 2007, the S&P or the SPY ETF was going for $148 a share. $148. Today it's $500 a share. So that's triple. While my house didn't triple, the SPY tripled. It gives you an average of 10% annual every year growth. Now watch this. With the real estate now, I have to shovel snow. I have to repair. I have to pay insurance. I have utilities. With the SPY, I pay none of that.
Yes, sir.
As Warren Buffett said, you set it and forget it. So you can make an argument in terms of real estate, location, time, and there are a lot of metrics. But the stock market has produced a lot of millionaires and billionaires over the years. Let me just say this one thing quickly about the stock market, and I'm going to take a break here. I know I've spoke probably more than everybody else, but let me just say this.
Take your time.
Investing in the stock market remains one of the most tangible ways of becoming a millionaire. It is available to everyone. And the thing about it, you could buy a fraction of a share. I cannot buy a fraction of a building. They're not going to sell it to me. But I could buy a fraction of a share as low as $10, $5. So here what it says, it is available to everyone, and it does not require luck. Who wants to be a millionaire? It doesn't require luck. A rich family background, family inheritance, entrepreneurial genius. The only differentiating factor is the number of years it takes every individual to get to those millions. So investing in the stock market, it's such a powerful way. And they said right now, 58% of American household is invested there. Why? Because from your phone, these youngsters, this generation can invest right from their pocket in the palm of their hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, young man. I mean, you really gave it to us tonight, and we thank you. It's so nice to have 5 millionaires on tonight. I believe that the only person that's not there is me. Okay, so I'm learning from you guys how to become a millionaire. Thank you very, very much. Okay, the question that I would like to put to all of you is this. What would you say are the most important factors in real estate investment? The most important important factors in real estate investment? I put that to you. Whichever would like to weigh in first, it's fine with me, doesn't matter.
I would say the most important factor in any investment, be it real estate or the stock market, is to buy low. If you figure out that there's a property that is undervalued, that you can acquire it for a price that is under the value that it has, where comparable properties are selling at, I think that's very important, is particularly if you want to sell it quickly for a profit, or if you want to live in it for a long time. Real estate is something that you buy with leverage. You don't have to put up all the money in cash, but you do have to put some money for closing. There's a lot of no money down ideas where you get a high percentage of financing, especially if you're a veteran or if you're buying an FHA qualifying property. The down payment could be as low as 3% of the price of the property. But I would say, buying low is very important. And in real estate, there's also the saying that location. The location of the property determines its value. And so if it's well located, it's likely to appreciate in value in the future.
What about mortgage rates? Is that a factor in it also?
Absolutely. It's part of the affordability. As interest rates go up, the monthly payments that you need to pay are increased by the interest, the additional interest amount that you have to pay. So in order for you to be able to afford a mortgage, you traditionally have to pay less than 30% of your income in mortgage payments. So if interest rates double as they have, your affordability for properties diminishes.
Okay, got you. Oh yeah, thank you much. Okay, now since quite a number of you, are into investment, as little brother, was really going up on that. Let me ask a question, and I believe that he most likely will jump at this. What percentage of real estate should be in a person's portfolio? What percentage of real estate should be in a person's portfolio? Investment portfolio. What percentage would you say?
Well, having too much, I don't think you could have too much of real estate in terms of real estate. But if you talk about a stock portfolio, I would say it could be. They said the general rule of thumb is to have about 20 stocks, different stocks in your portfolio. So I would say about 5% in terms of the stock. But in terms of the brick and mortar, real estate, a real estate appreciates and stock market appreciates. So, I mean, it's a good investment. And Guillermo was saying it's best to buy when the interest rate is low. But I wouldn't say I beg to differ, but I'm saying the right time to buy is now. He said, but Rojas, the rate is 7% and the housing's prices are going through the roof. Well, 10 years ago, people would have said the same thing. And what's the price of it now? And 10 years from now, you would have said, man, it was high in 2024, but I should have bought anyhow. And think about it, even though the interest rate is high, later on in life, you could refinance. So I don't think people should be deterred from buying a house, waiting for the interest rate to drop, or waiting for the right time. I think the right time is now. Do you agree with me, Jasmine? Jasmine?
I do. As you were speaking, I was thinking about all those people that they're kind of sitting on the fence. Should I jump in? Should I not? But you got to think of it this way. They're like, oh, I'm going to wait and try to save up more money. Well, while you're doing that, you could have already bought your house. That house would have been appreciated. So,
Hello,
the time is now. Stop waiting.
I
Stop
concur.
procrastinating.
Okay, the second part of question number 1 is this. What are the potential risks of incorporating real estate into an investment portfolio, and how can these risks be mitigated? Okay, let's put that first of all to Rashawn. How say you, young man?
Well, there's risk in everything that you do, and the best way to mitigate risk is to educate yourself on the topic. Okay, so if you're going to invest in real estate, number 1, as Guillermo said, understand your location. But also you have to understand the demographics of that particular location and that particular property. And what a lot of people do, unfortunately, is they buy the house before they buy the market. Right. What I mean by that is they don't research the macroeconomic factors of a different market before they actually look into a house. So like a lot of people would say, oh, New York real estate is really booming, so let me buy in New York. Well, no, you may lose everything on a bad investment. You may find a property that, it sounds like a great investment, but unfortunately, you didn't do the right research. You don't understand what's going on in that market, and you can invest money into a market where they're losing jobs. And so you'll buy a house and then you can't rent it and you can't sell it. So you have to do your research. You have to understand the market. You have to understand the macroeconomic factors before you understand the actual property. So, if you want to not lose everything, find out what's going on with the economic development in the area. Find out what major companies are hiring in that area. Find out if any major companies are leaving the area. Find out if they're like in upstate New York, in the Syracuse area, they're about to put a microchip factory, which was a part of the CHIPS Act by President Biden. Right. And a lot of people are investing in that area. However, because it's so close to a presidential election, people may think that that'll be a great investment because they have that microchip factory coming there. However, if we have a change in presidents, then you have an opportunity. You may lose everything because the incoming president may decide to scrap the whole thing, and now you bought a house for $150,000, $200,000 in an area where properties currently are only worth $152,000, $200,000, where you thought they will go up to $350,000, $400,000. So it's a lot of research before you lose everything. So that's the best way to mitigate risk, is to understand and do your research.
Thank you much, young man. Thank you much. Let's put that same question to the apostle. Man of God, how say you?
I really concur with Brother Tro. That is such a good point and valid point you make, because people say real estate, the best way to go. What happened in 2007, 2008? There was a bubble and houses were underwater. It was upside down now. So you paid $450,000. As a matter of fact, in 2007, when I bought this house, 6 months after, it dropped. But now it's way back up. But my point is, not because you think real estate always goes up, timing is everything. And as Tro said, your research is critical, because something might be taking place now and that dynamics can change. You know what I mean? So if you buy near school, children more at college, they need rental. So that's good. That college ain't going nowhere. It has been there for the past 30 years. There are certain things you look at and you make a wise decision. You just don't buy in the middle of nowhere. Because like, let's say New York City, San Francisco, we know real estate is high. Down in the South or the Midwest, it mightn't be that high. Let's say in the cornfields of Iowa, the price is going to be different. The population is booming. A lot of migrants are coming into, let's say, Miami, so there's a lot of moving parts and metrics in deciding in terms of real estate. If you're going to invest, what about if you're going to live? That's a different thing too. I want to live where it's quiet. I'm tired of the city, the hustle and the bustle. I want quietness. I want a suburb. I want to retire there in somewhere quiet. That's different. if you invest in, you want to invest where downtown, they say prime time. You know, so investment has to do with residential, and so it depends on the dynamics.
Mm,
That's a great point that Lucian makes, that the best way to mitigate the risk of acquiring real estate, in my view, is what Lucian just said, that if you're acquiring the property to live in it, then you don't really care if the price goes up or down in the short term, because like he bought right at the peak at 2007 his home, and he's living in it, and he doesn't care if the market went down the next 2-3 years. Right now it's back up, and he mitigated that risk by just living in it, making sure that he could afford the payments, and making sure that it worked for his job and for his location, for his children, the schools, everything around it. It's another thing if you're buying it for an investment, that you would need to have probably a shorter term horizon, or you would need to have tenants that would pay your mortgage, and they would have to be able to afford the rent. So that Lucian made some very good points, and I wholeheartedly concur.
how dangerous? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, excuse me. I just wanted to add one more thing to what Guillermo and Lucian were speaking about, as far as buying in a specific area for you to live versus for you to do an investment and a possible fix and flip. This was something that I learned on my very first fix and flip property, because I grew up in New York City, and in New York City, it's more about the location of where you live, the actual neighborhood, but the outside factors aren't as important. But when you go out to the suburbs like Long Island or New Jersey, the number one thing that people are looking for is the school district, and so when you're buying a property to do a fix and flip, you're definitely looking at those outside economics, the crime statistics, the school districts. There are a whole lot of other things that you have to find out, because based on the school district, my partner and I, we were looking at a property. We thought it was in Great Neck, Long Island. Was that it? Yeah, we thought it was in Great Neck, but it was in I forgot. It was a while ago. I'm sorry. I don't really remember the particulars, but because it was in one school district and not the other, the value swayed by $75,000. And that was something that, because we made all kind of calls trying to figure out if we could get the house in there, maybe pay a neighbor to put our fence in their yard so that we could get into that school district, but it wouldn't work. And for that, we stepped away, because we wouldn't get the return that we desired, because it wasn't in that particular school district. And that's what people buy for. And you have to understand that, another part of market research. So just wanted to share that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, let's put that same question, to Leroy.
I guess, excuse me, I guess everybody has kind of hit all the points. And I think my biggest thing would be, you have to know what you want to do with the investment property itself. Is it like Rashawn said, are you flipping it? Is it residential? Do you want to live there? Do you want to put a tenant in it? Because these are all going to, they're going to change how you look at the house. And if you don't know how to do repairs, you better have a good contractor that you trust. I would say that. And one other thing, Rashawn mentioned, you've got to know where the political winds are blowing. I don't know if everybody watching this knows who Dave Ramsey is. Everybody pretty much knows him if you know anything about budgeting. Well, he lost everything in real estate. That's what he did. He would flip real estate. So now his whole thing is, I pay everything with cash. Well, what he doesn't tell you is that he was doing quick 6-month flips. He would get the mortgage for like a 6-month mortgage, flip it real quick, and then be right on to the next house. And he had a whole bunch of houses like that on these 6-month mortgages. And he makes it out like the bank just came in and was like, oh, we want our money. Well, what happened in reality was he had these short-term mortgages, and then the laws changed and it was no longer profitable. You didn't have the tax write-offs in real estate that you did prior to, like, I believe 83 or 84, something like that. And it became more profitable to be in like the stock market. So everybody was taking their money out of real estate, putting it into the stock market, and he didn't pay attention to it. And the next thing you know, he's, barely afloat and mad because the banks are saying, hey, we want our money, So the thing is, it's knowing. You want to know, if you're in a market, know it inside and out. You want to know that market like the back of your hand. You want to know what's going on. You want to know if this politician over here that, hey, I would normally vote for that guy, but that guy's saying he's going to raise all the rents on these, the taxes on these properties, and this is what I do for a living. Basically, I just voted for somebody to raise my taxes, whereas this guy says, I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to keep them where they're at. So you definitely want to know the politics, and you want to know how everybody else in the area is voting also, so that you can know where the political winds are blowing. And it's mitigating your risk. So that's all I have to say on that.
Okay, I hear you there, young man. Okay, let me ask this question before we hear from Yasmin. Okay, why do 90% of millionaires invest in real estate? 90% of millionaires invest in real estate.
Mine's real quick, because it's limited and everybody needs it. That's all I got to say.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Well, there's a saying that
I'd like to say, because everything that we do revolves around real estate. Everyone right now is sitting inside of somewhere. That's real estate. Either you own it or you're renting it. Someone is getting paid, and someone has gotten paid from us living in wherever we are. When you go to the store, you're dealing with real estate. When you leave your home and get in your car, something has to do with real estate. Either you take your car to the mechanic, you bought it from a dealer, or you bought parts from an auto repair shop. Everything we do revolves around real estate, and these billionaires understand that. And besides that, it's a great way to park money and get it back tax-free. There's a method called the BRRRR method, like your cold BRRRR. It's you buy the house, you buy it under market value, you renovate the house to bring it up to market value, then you rent it out, and then you refinance the property, meaning that you take out a mortgage to pay off whatever you bought it for and the renovation costs, and you take a little bit of money and put it back in your pocket. That bit of money that you put back in your pocket, that is 100% tax-free, because it is based on debt. And that is why millionaires and billionaires invest in real estate, because they'll take 100, or let's just use a nice round number, $100,000, and put it into a house, and then they'll refinance and take that same money out tax-free.
And it works.
Definitely. And it works, yes.
Okay, now the question is, what are the potential risks of incorporating real estate into an investment portfolio, and how can these risks be mitigated? Let me hand everything over now to Yasmin. It's in your hands.
Well, I'm sorry, I was still on the previous questions. I was listening to everyone talking about the ebbs and flows of real estate. It can sound scary, but I always use myself as an example with my mortgage clients. What Rashawn was saying about how you buy a property and then get the money out, but you don't talk about the part two of that. Okay, you took the money out, but now that mortgage is higher. So for myself, I had to recently pivot, and you can't be afraid to pivot. And pivoting is, okay, now this mortgage is more. I'm going to have to renovate to bring these rents up so I can pay for this mortgage. So, don't be afraid to shift as well in this business.
Okay, don't be afraid to shift in this business. Okay, now let me put this question to all of you, because you're all experts. What would you say are the downfalls of investing in real estate? What are some of the downfalls, the things that can happen to you that can bring you down in real estate?
I'll take the lead on this one as well. You can have a completely crappy team, meaning you can have bad contractors who take forever to do the work, or don't do the work, or accept payment and never come do the work. That's why when working with contractors, you always leave more money remaining than job remaining. You have them start working before you pay them. You can have a bad property management team if you are a landlord. You can have crappy tenants who don't pay, which is why my partner and I prefer to rent to programs, meaning like government-sponsored programs and government-sponsored tenants and non-for-profit organizations. What's another thing that can happen? You can buy in an area that seemed nice, but you know, you can have what, excuse me, everyone, you can have what was known in the 70s and 80s as white flight, and whereas the neighborhood was a beautiful suburb, but because, you know, the demographic changed, everyone moved out and the neighborhood got super violent. And now the same home that you thought was going to be worth $1 million in 20 years is now worth 500,000, and you bought it for 400,000. You know, you still got an appreciation, but you didn't get a major appreciation like you thought you would. There are a number of factors that can cause you to lose everything, but that's why you have to educate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, let me say about the risks. What things can go wrong? A lot of things can go wrong. If you have investment property, for example, you may have a vacancy and collection loss. You may have a tenant that's not paying you rent that you have to evict, and it might take a long time to get him out. And the market conditions can go against you, and the property may command lower rents, and that would put a crimp on your cash flow. You may even have negative cash flow if the property has been vacant for a while, or if it's renting below what you expected. If interest rates go up and you have to refinance, you know, when you have commercial properties, usually you don't get a 30-year mortgage. You have to refinance, you know, every 6-7 years. And so if you have higher interest rates, and you usually have floating interest rates, not fixed, you may have repairs. You may have damage from casualty, like a fire or earthquake or some other. You may have termites or pests. You know, you could have a sinkhole in the parking lot. This, especially in Florida, there's a lot of those. You know, and I would say generally, if you overextend yourself, because it's very easy to buy properties on credit, and so if you overextend yourself, you could be exposed, like it happened to Dave Ramsey, like Leroy was saying, and then you could lose it all, you know, if the market turns. Like, for example, in 2007, when the real estate market came down in price.
Okay, anyone else like to chime in on that?
Well, one of the things too, in terms of real estate, where I realize it takes money to make money. The 3 servants that got bags of money, one got 5 bags of money and he doubled his portfolio. He gained 100%, and so was the fellow with the 2 bags. So money can certainly, you know, give you the potential of making more money. And so I tell young people in the beginning to work early, get a capital, and make investments, because you can get rich off a savings account. Now, in terms of real estate, what I see the billionaires are doing now, and they do it like a hobby. They're buying major league sports team, paying crazy money. But guess what? The return is very tangible. You know, this guy bought the LA Clippers, who Mark Cuban bought the Dallas Mavericks. Michael Jordan, he bought the Charlotte Bobcats. And so they're all billionaires. They're all billionaires by buying major league teams that was selling for a few $100 million now. No, almost every major league team is selling in the terms of billions. So once you have money, they make the money work for them. You don't dig a hole in the ground and bury it like the other guy. And by the way, digging is hard work. He worked hard, but he didn't work smart. Make your money work for you.
What team have you purchased, Apostle?
Well, I'm looking to buy the Bishop Corner franchise.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Anyone else like to weigh in on that before we get to question number 2? Okay. Understanding real estate. I'm sorry, Guillermo, you were about to say something, were you?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Understanding real estate investments. Okay, what are the different types of real estate investments, and how can individuals identify opportunities within each category? Can we put that to Leroy first, please?
I'm sorry. I would say you'd have, this is definitely not my area of expertise, but I know things that I have thought about doing. Like I've thought about, like I said, I live out in the country. I'm in Michigan, and one place where I'm at, just a little north of me, is just a little hick town that has a ton of lakes, but a lot of the places that are on this lake, you'll have some nice houses, and then you just have a whole bunch of rundown stuff that looks like it's just falling in on itself. And I've always thought about maybe just buying some property and putting a little cabin and doing an Airbnb. So you would have something like that are just tiny little vacation spots, but I'm not 100% certain what all the rules and regulations are on it. They've been ideas that I've had, hunting land. I want, put a cabin on hunting land and just rent it out short term. And then I'd looked at it as I don't have to deal with tenants long term. I just have to go in, clean the place up after they leave, fix anything, a bunch of drunks probably messed up. But the hunting cabin, I don't know, I'd probably be fixing bullet holes. Beer and guns don't go together. Beer, guns, and rednecks really don't go together. So, but I think Rashawn would probably know way more on this than I do, and I can see him right there chomping at the bit already. So, but I mean, you just have your different stuff. It's commercial, residential, and and then what you want to do with it. That's basically all I know. So.
Okay, thank you much. Okay, let's go to Rashawn at this time. Let's hear from Rashawn. How say you, young man?
Well, there's tons and tons and tons of different ways to invest in real estate. A lot of people think that, you just do fix and flip, or you just do buy and rent. Those are the two most prevalent ways to invest in real estate, but you can buy into real estate in the stock market, like Lucien and Guillermo were speaking about. And you can also invest passively or actively. Investing passively, meaning that you can invest in a project alongside a fix and flip person or a fix and rent person, and you can get a return on your money that way. Or you can do short-term or mid-term rentals, which is like a Airbnb or for traveling business professionals where they may need to stay in a place for a month or longer. You can, basically it's limited to your imagination. You can actually buy a house, or if let's say you inherited a home that doesn't have a mortgage and you got it from a family member, you can, maybe you don't want to go through a real estate agent, or you have someone who wants to buy it but can't qualify for a mortgage, you can finance the house directly to them. You don't need a bank, you just need the right paperwork. Again, it goes back to educating yourself on the different ways of doing things. And trust me, real estate investing is fantastic. It's just limited to your imagination and the laws of the land.
The laws of the land, that's true. Okay, now, unfortunately, we only have 6 minutes left. Time has just flown. We're just right here. First part of question number 2. Let's put that to Yasmin at this time. Yasmin, how say you?
This is the different ways to invest in real estate?
Yes, the different type of real estate investments, yes.
One that we didn't talk about is my next project. Actually, I want to build an assisted living facility. So I just want to build it and then have the company come in and rent for me. So that's an excellent way as well that we didn't discuss.
Yes, young lady, we do have to talk. We definitely have to talk. Thank you for telling me that. Okay, let's put that same question to Lucian.
Bishop Scott, I didn't hear us mention this too much, but I remember when I was growing up in the islands, I heard my parents, they would usually say, land don't spoil and land don't rot. Now, for example, I was ministering in Ocala just recently, and my friend told me, he said, when I bought this house 6 years ago, I was the only one that lived in this area. I mean, I had no neighbors. Now I have about 8 of them. So vision is the art of seeing the invisible. The Bible said, without a vision, the people perish. What you can do, land, like I said, don't spoil, don't rot. If you could get in early, because there's a supply and demand right now in America in terms of housing. People will always need places to live. I think Bill Gates right now, he's buying up a lot of land. So if you would buy land and hold it, it don't spoil. You don't have to mow the lawn. You don't have to clean the snow. You just buy it and leave it and let it appreciate. And like somebody was saying, later on, you could build on it. Or you could buy in somewhere that you would think nobody would come there. It seems like it's the back of the boondocks. But 5 years from now, they'll make a road there and people start moving in. And you, since you was there early, appreciation is the name of the game. So there's so many dynamics, you know, in terms of buying a piece of land, having the insight, knowing that it's going to grow. And next thing you know, they put a shopping mall. Next thing you know, Amazon came in town. And next thing you know, the rest is history, you know?
So much can be done. Okay, let's hear at this time from Guillermo. How say you, young man?
Well, I think the Lucian is right on. I mean, obviously, you can invest in various sectors of real estate. There's commercial, there's office, retail, there is residential, there is industrial, there is even specialized like retirement communities. There's a lot of space in real estate, and like Lucian says, the land doesn't spoil, and you don't depreciate land. You only depreciate the buildings and the structures in the property. And so investing in real estate should be a part of everybody's portfolio, especially their own homes. If you have a lot of money, a big portfolio, then you could place a portion in real estate to diversify. But if you have a small portfolio, having your own home is part of your diversification.
Beautiful. Okay, well, let me say this. We only have 2 minutes left. Time is just, whew. Okay, we have certainly heard a lot and we have said a lot. In a sentence or two, ladies, gentlemen, what should we take away from tonight's conversation? In a sentence or two, what should we take away from tonight's conversation? Let's start with Lucian. Apostle, how say you?
Dr. Bishop Scott, I think investing is one of the most powerful principles on planet Earth. And even Jesus spoke about investing in the parable of the 3 servants. And I want to say to young people, if you invest early, early is the name of the game. Your investment can compound. Okay. And compound really leverage with time.
Thank you much. Okay, let's hear from Rashawn. You're muted.
Apologies. Similar to what Mr. Lucian just said, since young people and even us older folk take advantage of investment and especially the power of compounding, $1 compounded over a series of years is better than having $10 today.
Beautiful indeed. Guillermo.
Yes, it's easy to invest in real estate when you're buying your home, and you're not only having a good investment, but you have a place to raise your family, and that is priceless.
Beautiful. Okay, Leroy.
Just go out and do it. Scared money don't win money.
Beautiful indeed. Okay, let's hear, last but not least, the beautiful Yasmin. How say you?
He took what I wanted to say. Like the young people say, don't be scared. Just go out there and do it. Research, put your best foot forward.
Okay, well, listen, thank you much, Yasmin. Thank you, Leroy. Thank you, Lucien. Thank you, Rashawn and Guillermo. It's been a pleasure. At this time, because of time, we'll just hand over to Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, it's in your hands.
Wow, wow, and a whole lot of wow. I was learning so much from you guys tonight. Really appreciate what you shared. Those of you who are going to be watching online and listening on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all the other platforms that we're on. Thank you so much. You can ask your question, leave your questions in the comments, and we'll make sure that someone will get back to you with the answers. We got all the professionals here on the line. Visit bci-tv.com for more information about the Bishop's Corner. We are looking to partner with other organizations to help to make this world a better place. So stay tuned for more from us. But thank you guys for coming on. We're going to stay, those of you who are in the room, you can hang out for a little bit. It will give you a chance to do a quick Q&A with our panel. And those of you who are watching, see you next week.